With ICE operations across the United States, how is immigration enforcement affecting international students? From Maine, we have our DeWired correspondent reporting.
What is behind the numbers? Why is AUBG losing international students? And with new Bulgarian visa requirements, are we facing an even bigger decline?
We have not given up on international students.
A lot of the internationals feel a bit secluded.
AUBG moves forward with journalism program re-accreditation. What does this mean for students?
With viewership in decline, are the Oscars losing their relevance? Hello, and welcome to the first episode of DeWired Season 2.
We launch at the beginning of March, so happy Baba Marta to all of you.
The tradition of Martinicas in Bulgaria marks new beginnings, the promise of spring, and a reminder that change is part of every season. We too are marking the beginning of something new.
After a semester filled with major conversations on campus, around the world, we're back to continue asking questions, breaking down stories, and covering what matters most to you.
New semester.
New DeWired season.
Same mission and passion for news and storytelling. From Students for Students, I'm Darina Ormanova.
And I'm Vasil Paskov.
DeWired starts now.
The show that gets your questions answered. We start a new season right where we left things off last semester, with the new parliamentary elections approaching in April and the new government in place. It seems like the largest Bulgarian protest from 2025 did make some change.
But what is happening with Gen Z protest energy, and what can we expect in the near future? Maria Hristova met with some of the activists and experts to look back at the aftermath of December civic activism.
Bulgaria is expecting its next parliamentary elections on the 19th of April 2026. But let's go back to the turbulent 2025 to see how we arrived at this point. It all started all the way back in November 2025 with a seemingly mundane move, a budget proposal, one that seemed to anger different social circles for different reasons, mainly the overspending in the public sector compared to private business. The response of the ruling coalitions also contributed.
Съобщение за гледащите отвън. Протестиращи.
It all led to the eruption of mass unrest demanding change. Now the squares are empty, and with protesters back home, we meet with some of the students' activists Ivaylo and Asen Lazarov from Active Politics.
What made them angry the most was the response from institutions, the response from the ruling parties, which said that even though a lot of people don't like this budget, we'll still go and pass it.
It all led to the resignation of Rosen Zelaskov's government and the new caretaker government led by AUBG professor Andrei Gyurov. Meanwhile, the president Rumen Radev resigned. So the vice president Ilyana Yotova became the head of state and the first woman to ever lead Dundukov II. Now, the already ex-president Rumen Radev is expected to gain serious public support in the upcoming elections. Now, as a politician. This sparked debates about is he perceived as the new savior?
I'm very skeptical of it. Most experts, most political scientists these days are very skeptical of this narrative, someone being able to resolve all problems. But Radev used the moral force of the presidency and is a figure that is somehow able to emit certain moral decency to most people, and it seems that a lot of Bulgarians actually like this narrative, like his approach to politics, like his energy, if you want.
This narrative comes alongside the political crisis of instability that started in 2021. Since then, 9 governments have changed, including the interim ones.
There is a normalization of basically of this state, constant turmoil, constant elections, constant governmental instability, and it leads to apathy.
For Arsen Lazarov from Active Politics, this is the biggest problem, alongside another danger.
So the risk is that Bulgaria hasn't prepared any strategic big goal for the next decade.
Actually, I believe the bigger danger would be related to the perpetuation of this mediocre democracy, of this democratic stagnation that's in the country. The slow, gradual erosion, this slow rot in domestic politics might actually pose graver danger to the local democracy than any sudden shifts in the political landscape.
What's left from the December protests is also this installation of a giant pink pig. By taking tours across Bulgaria, it does not only symbolize corruption, but also aims to recruit guardians of the vote for more transparent elections. It leaves us with the question, will it have to take any more rounds this year?
In recent days, student organizations have again taken to the streets, this time demanding the resignation of Chief Prosecutor Budislav Sarafov. The Supreme Court ruled that his appointment did not follow the legal requirements, raising serious questions about the legitimacy of his position. We will continue to follow the youth-led protests and their demands on DeWired.
New visa restrictions are complicating the situation for international students who want to come study in Bulgaria. In response, AUBG announced that it will focus primarily on the Bulgarian market for the next admission season. This was stated in the latest report to the Board of Trustees. What does this mean for the international profile of our campus that was struggling to begin with? Will this trend continue over the years? Here is what I found out. American football on Bulgarian ground, a team sport that embodies the international spirit on campus. Yet, Richard is one of the only two international students on the team.
I did expect it to be very international because they always said, like, an international university in Bulgaria. Coming here, I'm the only South African.
Richard is one of the few international students on campus. The statistics show that for the previous academic year, only 25% of the students were non-Bulgarians. And it's not getting any easier to attract them here.
With Bulgaria joining the Schengen zone, the authorities applying all the requirements even more strictly than before. Focus will be on Bulgarian students because it's easier for the Bulgarian students. But we have not given up on international students.
The new Bulgarian visa procedure requires all international students to provide a statement with prepaid tuition for their first semester, plus an acid verification of their high school diploma. The prepayment of the tuition makes it impossible for internationals to take loans for their first semester at AUBG, and the diploma recognition takes time and leads to students arriving late.
Of course, we are trying to coordinate with the other universities because if it's just AUBG, it's kind of less powerful.
Behind me, you can see many nations represented at the Dance and Taste Festival. But with the issues piling up, I wonder which of them won't be here next year. AUBG's student body wasn't always dominated by Bulgarians. Back in 2012, the campus was 61% international. The decline that followed was caused by political tensions and the war in Ukraine, which restricted travel and financial access for students from key regions.
Bulgaria as a country, we as an institution, we need to work harder. We are the connection between their world and AUBG until AUBG becomes their world.
But beyond numbers, it's the spirit at AUBG that might be changing.
A lot of the internationals feel a bit, like secluded because majority of the people group up in their nationalities, let's say. Like, you notice that a lot of Bulgarians hang out together, a lot of Albanians as well, Macedonians, and so on. Like, a majority of the international students only know each other.
They say American football is a game of inches. But here at AUBG is a game of miles, the thousands of miles traveled by students like Richard.
If they lose all their international students, it's their biggest touch.
For DeWired, this is Janina Ormanova reporting.
From AUBG to universities across the ocean, a recent increase in ICE-led operations in the United States is raising new concerns for international students there. The University of Maine, for example, reports a 12% drop in international enrollment as immigration crackdowns expand across the country. We have our reporter, Ioana Karagiorgieva, from Orono, Maine. Hello, Ioana.
Hi, Vasco. International students at the University of Maine say coming to the US and even leaving campus feels different than it did just a few years ago. University staff confirmed that the number of international students on campus this academic year is noticeably lower than past years. An advisor in the Office of International Programs says visa interviews are harder to schedule, more students are denied visas, and some decide not to come at all. In recent weeks, a surge in ICE operations across Maine has led to hundreds of hotline reports, especially in cities like Portland and Lewiston, and sparked protests in Bangor. Native American students on campus say they and their families feel endangered and are extremely cautious. Maine has a relatively large Native American population, and many tell us they do not feel safe under the current administration. While there is not known ICE activity on the UMaine campus, students tell us they avoid traveling to places where recent activity has been reported. The Office of International Programs is advising students to carry all of their documents when they leave campus. Earlier this month, UMaine president emailed the campus acknowledging that national unrest, local tragedies, and immigration enforcement are keeping some students from coming to class, and promised that every student should be able to pursue their education without fear for their safety. The university is pointing students towards counseling, campus police, and the Office of International Programs for support. From the University of Maine in Orono, US, Ioana Karagiorgieva reporting.
Thank you, Ioana. Our US correspondent there with information on how the new Trump immigration policy is affecting students, both on and off campus. At the same time, Bulgarian work and travel agencies report no change in the number of applicants compared to last year. DeWired spoke with two of the major agencies, Orange and Use It Colors, and they say the students planning to travel to the States this summer is expected to be similar to the last 2 years. Although representatives from Use It Colors shared that students and parents had some concerns, no major problems with the US institutions were reported last summer either.
And an update on a story we've been following closely last semester, the Bulgarian accreditation of our journalism and mass communication program. In a statement to DeWired, Provost and Interim President J.D. Mininger confirmed that AUBG has taken a major step toward securing reaccreditation.
As of January 2026, AUBG has hired 2 fully habilitated GMC professors who are now officially registered in the national academic system. The university is also finalizing its reapplication report to the accreditation agency and plans to submit it shortly. The accreditation agency will then evaluate the report and issue a decision.
As we have reported, the journalism and mass communication program was denied accreditation in September, and the university since then has 12 months to reapply and get it back. AUBG had to meet recommendations to satisfy all Bulgarian requirements for scholarly output and academic rank.
The GMC program remains accredited through September 2026, and AUBG retains the full legal right to teach the program and issue Bulgarian diplomas during this period. University leadership anticipates no interruption in accreditation validity as the process moves forward, says Provost Manager in a statement to DeWired.
Following President Ensign's departure in September, AUBG has begun the search for a new permanent leader, a decision that will shape the university for the years to come. As the process moves forward, we ask, what's the role of the student voice in choosing the next president? Lina Marsh takes a closer look at who decides and how much influence students really have.
From founding President Edmund Laverty to leaders like Kevin Aspergren, Stratsy Kolinsky, and most recently Margie Ensign, AUBG's story is one of growth, change, and the people who guide it. Today, with interim President Dr. J.D. Mininger at the helm, the university looks ahead, wondering, Who will be the 12th president? Before the next president is chosen, one perspective is often overlooked: the students. How much influence do they really have in this process? We asked Radko Mishev to give us his view.
The entirety of the student body does not directly involve themselves with the presidential search. It's more of the student representatives which are in the student government.
While students like Radko now have a seat at the table, the final decision still rests with the search committee. According to Robert White, the committee received access to all applicants' dossiers. They reviewed the materials over the winter break, shortlisted candidates in January, and will invite the finalists to campus in mid-March, giving members of the AUBG community a chance to meet them before the final decision is made.
And this is actually quite new. I believe previous years when there was a presidential search going on, there were no students asked about their opinion on certain things.
When the next president is announced, students will inherit the consequences of that decision. The question remains, were they truly part of making it?
My role as the student representative was to essentially meet with the firm, the firm which does the presidential search, and convey what we as students would like to see in a future president.
For DeWired, Lina Amarsh reporting.
For decades, the Oscars have been seen as the ultimate celebration of cinema, shaping culture and defining the whole movie industry. However, data shows that viewership has decreased significantly in the past few decades. With the ceremony fast approaching, are the awards still relevant? We asked AUBG students whether they plan to watch this year's Oscars ceremony.
Yes, because I watched every year. I'm excited for it, and I think the list is pretty good.
No.
I'm not planning to watch them.
Yes. Not really. I usually watch the recap.
The ceremony peaked in viewership during the 1990s, but the numbers have been steadily decreasing. But what may be the reason? We asked Ezra Winton, an AUBG professor and a specialist in the cinema industry.
Approximately 75% of the winners are American. And of the 75%, the vast majority come from the 5 big Hollywood studios. So we start from this huge amount of diversity of cinema on the planet, and we keep shrinking it into this really elite group of film producers that mainly win the awards. The other factors are lack of diversity, and that's not just lack of the people's diversity behind in front of the camera, but where the films come from, the kinds of films that they're championing. Are they following certain formulas, et cetera, et cetera?
I think the ceremony is just too long, and usually we already know who is going to win.
I would say probably the Oscars, they haven't lost completely their relevance. They're still pretty relevant. A lot of people know about them, but they are starting to slowly go down in their relevancy.
As all of us here at AUBG are now enjoying the early spring break this semester, some of us are still on campus. The Broadway Performance Club is preparing yet another musical. This time it is going to be Footloose, a story about a young boy who moves from the big city to the small town, where dancing is forbidden. The musical will premiere on March 23rd at the ABF Theatre. Then the cast will tour around the country, visiting Varna, Plovdiv and Sofia. And for the first time this year, the Broadway Performance Club will add a new stop to their national tour, Veliko Trnovo. This marks over 15 shows of AUBG Broadway performances. And with that, we would wrap up Season 2's first episode of DeWired, news made by students for students.
This is just the first episode out of 3 this season, so make sure to stay tuned for our next show coming soon.
Thank you for supporting our work with your time and attention. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at DeWiredAUBG for our latest updates, breaking news, and behind-the-scenes content.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and consider dropping us a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Thank you.
And we wish you a happy spring break.